I raised today to talk about a historic period drama. Many people in here would know about Downton Abbey, the story of the aristocratical family and their domestic servants. Well, that disappeared from the small screens, but now we've got Downer Abbey, and we've got a family that's been around in South Australian politics for over 100 years that want to treat the federal division of Mayo as something like Buckingham Palace, where it's a birthright. If your surname's Downer, that you get to come in and have it. Even if you are living in Melbourne in a nice big house over in Paran, a very posh Melbourne suburb apparently. But it works out all right if your family owns a summer palace down at Carrickalinga. I mean, Adelaide's equivalent to New York's Hamptons. It's where all the people of the eastern suburbs head down and hang out in Carrickalinga over the summer. Don't mix with any people from Mayo. Just mix with your friends from up in the eastern suburbs, play a bit of golf and things like that. So last Friday I was in the Normanville Foodland as one of the local shopping centres, and I ran into an advertiser photographer, Matty Turner, a good mate of mine. We worked together at the News back in the early 80s, and Matt was, I said, what are you up to down here in Normanville? He said, I'm waiting for Georgina Downer. She said to meet me here at 3:30, so he gets down there at 3:30. Then she rings and says, I'll be at 5. You know, just that sort of disrespect that you show people, isn't it? Just the time doesn't make any difference for the people that you've got to go and meet with. But I think, you know, as a voter in the federal electorate of Mayo, I, like so many people down there, are absolutely offended at the Liberal Party's pre-selection of someone who left here, couldn't wait to get out of South Australia. As soon as they finished high school, they scampered across the border to Victoria. They've been asked time and time again, are you going to come back? No, I'm not going to come back. Georgina Downer has run twice for pre-selection in Victoria. Twice she's been rejected. Since 2015, she's been a member of the Liberal Party state electorate in state's division in Victoria. Now, one thing here that is on the record in the Australian Financial Review really concerns me. Now, these words have been attributed to Georgina Downer. She needs to come out and say whether she said these words or not. When there was speculation around in 2016 that Georgina Downer may move back to Adelaide and run for the seat of Mayo, the Rear Window section of the Financial Review did a piece about, you know, a Downer to rise again in Mayo with a question mark. The authors said, we asked the woman herself and she laughed it off, reminding us that she hadn't lived in the serial killing capital of the world since before Snowtown was on the map and is comfortably ensconced with her family in Melbourne. Still, we bet it crossed her mind. Now, we've looked through the Financial Review. We can't find any retraction. So if someone attributed those sort of quotes to me, I'd be pretty upset, and I would be trying to get a retraction. So we need to find out. From Georgina Downer whether she said those words, because, you know, someone who's just spent the past 5 years as Tourism Minister promoting this wonderful state, there are so many fantastic attributes that we can talk about here in South Australia, and talk about Adelaide being the serial killing capital of the world is an absolute disgrace. But you know who says those sort of things? Victorians say those sort of things. And where is Georgina Downer from? Victoria. She's lived in Victoria for the best part of the past 20 years. She's come down to Carrickalinga now, moved into the family's summer palace, and trying to pass herself off as a local. She's not even on the electoral roll yet. So, you know, the people of Mayo that I've been speaking to over the past few weeks, as speculation swirled around that someone was coming from Victoria to try and represent them, are absolutely outraged at this. And they remember the last time that they voted for a Downer. He quit within 6 months because he had the sulks, because he wasn't in government anymore, and he thrust upon them one of the most unpopular politicians in South Australian history, Jamie Briggs, who was an absolute disgrace to the people that he went out and met in the area. And people still talk about how rude Jamie Briggs was and how little he did for the area. So I want to say well done to Rebecca Sharkey, who's done an amazing job up there, and I've worked with her to get millions of dollars for Mount Barker. We've got a new playground for Maiponga. And what the people of Mayo need is someone who's a local from up in that area. And Rebecca Sharkey's done an amazing job, and she'll be getting my second preference vote after the Labor candidate gets my first preference. But I'll be putting this Victorian interloper last.
Alas, the member's time has expired. The member for